begin the sixth inning, and there's a ground ball off the glove of the third baseman, Vinny Castilla. And Anthony Young has reached base for a second time.
And he's 2 for 3. His average springing up to 667.
Cub pitchers tonight are 3 out of 4 with 2 batted in and 2 scored.
Brian McRae having quite a night. He's got 3 hits tonight. And John Vanderwall has come in right field, take over for Larry Walker.
Foul ball off the bat of McRae. And he's down a strike. Cubs got 7 runs in the first inning on Brett Saberhagen, who only lasted a third of an inning. He allowed 5 hits, all 7 runs earned. Galarraga a home run in the Rockies second. Then the Cubs got 2 more in the third against Lance Painter. RBIs by Kevin Foster and Brian McRae. Then we had a long rain delay of nearly 3 hours in between the third and fourth innings. Cubs get 6 in the top of the fifth. Rockies 1 in the bottom of the inning. And a 15-2 Cub lead here in the top of the sixth. Guys can't wait to go up there and hit tonight. Grace is still 2 batters down the road. Has a helmet on, the bat in hand. 1-2 to McRae. Well, how about swinging the bats in the Mile High City, Stoney?
Take a look at the batting average. 12 games at Mile High, 4 games at Coors Field. Cubs lead the series, and they've out-hit the Rockies. And that's somewhat surprising. But the Rocky pitching staff has really had their problems. And there you see the runs per game, the home runs, and the batting average of the Colorado Rocky in 16 games in Colorado.
2-2 on Brian McRae. And he's out of there on strikes. 1 down in the Cubs' sixth.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has a right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or the use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
Jose Hernandez, an RBI single, his only time up an inning ago, and he's down a strike. Reed has given up a run on 2 hits, fan 3 since taking over for David Need. And that's the kind of night it's been. Started way back, Mountain Time Zone at 7:05. And here we are nearly 5 hours later in the 6th inning.
This game is moving right along. A couple of fans still enjoying it. Hans and Franz.
Down. Mark Grace looks at ball 1 away. Two and 0 now to Grace. 2 out, 1 on here in the top of the 6th inning, and the Cubs leading 15-2. Grace has knocked in a pair tonight, scored a couple of runs, and he thought about it, and that's on the outside corner, a strike. Three and 1 to Grace. And there's ball 4, so Grace will go to first. Anthony Young trotting up the road to second. The inning continues for Sammy Sosa.
Joe Girardi out to the mound to talk with Steve Reed. Reed most unhappy with himself. That ERA spotless this year.
2 on, 2 down, and Sosa waits, and he fouled it back. Sammy, 2 out of 3, has scored a pair of runs. Single to right, single to left, and drawn a walk. Game 3 of the series tomorrow night, and the finale on Sunday, as it's 0-2 to Sosa. And then the Cubs will be at home the overwhelming majority of the time for the rest of the season. 26 of their final 38 at Wrigley Field. Into center, and another base hit for Sosa, and another Cub run as Anthony Young comes up limping. He rounded third, and now all of a sudden comes limping home and back into the Cub dugout.
Let's hope it's not the hamstring that he injured. It looked like he might have re-injured it, and John Fierro meets him right there. And we'll hope that Anthony Young is okay. Now he's going to talk with Jim Riggleman. Sammy drives in run number 77. You know how tough he can be in these situations as he dumps it into center field. And the Cubs keep pouring it on, and right there Anthony comes up limping, and it looks like it might have been a hamstring.
Well, Anthony Young being looked after by John Fierro. Cub bullpen getting busy.
And that's the hamstring. There's no doubt about it, Tom, unless he's just got a cramp.
I would be very surprised the way he all of a sudden just pulled up. Shallow center. This will fall for another hit. Gray scores, and on to third goes Sosa, and the Cubs now lead 17-2.
Louis drives in his 6th run of the night. Terry Adams getting loosened up in a hurry. An ideal time for him to get some work. Probably Jim Riggleman asking Brian McRae if he'd like some time off. He's had a busy night, as have all of the Cub hitters and fielders. 20 hits, 17 runs for the Cubs. 2 runs, 4 hits for the Rockies. 4 hits through 5.
And obviously the runs and hits season highs for the Cubs this season. 3 times they had reached 13 runs in a game. Most recently the 22nd of June at Houston, and most hits 18 twice. And here's where Anthony Young pulled up. See right there, rounding third, scoring from second base. 3-0 now to Zeal. Runners on the corners, and be very surprised if Anthony Young returned to this game. It's been a tough year for him, calendar year, in staying healthy. The Tommy John elbow surgery, then shortly thereafter the hamstring injury, as it's 3-2 now to Zeal.
Activity in both pens. It's Terry Adams. Looks like might be Mike Munoz in the bullpen for the Rockies.
And there's the 20th and 21st Cub hit of the night. Scoring is Sosa, making it an 18-2 Cub lead.
An RBI 48 for Todd Zeal, as the stats piling up tonight. The Cubs pounding away at Steve Reed, as they had most every one of the Rocky hurlers. One thing Don Baylor did not want to do is run through his bullpen tonight, but he's being forced to do just that.
Cubs 7 in the first, 2 in the third, 6 in the fifth, 3 so far here in the sixth. It adds up to an 18-2 advantage, and Reed will leave in favor of Mike Munoz. That's one of those nights for the Cub hitters where the batting average will jump up about 8-10 points, knock in 3, 4, 5 runs. RBI column looking real good after one like this. Ray Sanchez will be the batter with 2 on and 2 out. Little roller down to Galarraga. He'll feed Munoz at the bag to end the inning. Cubs coming up with 3 more runs on 4 hits. Couple of men left. We go to the bottom of the 6th. 18-2.
My name is April, and I am a caregiver. I've been with Nell now for 2.5 years, and I just feel like I am making a difference in her life. I know how much her family relies on me being there. It's about the bond that we form.
At care.com, you can find the senior care help your family needs. Search from lots of local caregivers with profiles, reviews, and more. It costs less than you think.
At 98 years old, she's enjoying her life.
Find the help you need. Care.com.
These are uncertain times, but we at First Midwest Bank remain strong, remain committed to our clients, to our communities. And we want those who are uncertain in these uncertain times to know that even though we currently all need to stay apart, we are all in this together. First Midwest Bank.
We used to be so stressed from all the demands on our time, but then our doctor prescribed us something that changed our lives.
It's called sleep. It's like being awake, but you feel good.
And ever since we bought a purple mattress, this sleep thing has been taken to a whole new level.
The Purple Grid cradles your pressure points while keeping you cool, unlike memory foam that heats you up like a weird lingering hug. Try Purple today. If you're not 100% satisfied after 100 nights, you can return it for a full refund.
Purple, the best thing since sleep.
Pain can wear you down, but you're resilient. And Icy Hot No Mess fuels your resilience. Fast-acting, targeted pain relief. Because the deeper you dig, the higher you rise. Icy Hot No Mess.
You're watching Cubs Classics presented by Prevagen. We move ahead in the action.
Scott Service leading it off here in the 7th. A few people are left. Three balls or make that 2 balls and the strike. Munoz's pitch is outside. Boy, another sellout crowd.
30 in a row, Harry. 30 sellouts in a row here at Coors Field.
And a total of 34 for the year. So Service, who's had a good night. 2 out of 4 opens us up with a walk. We're in the top of the 7th. Well, it looks like we're in for another hour or so.
Is it the top of the 7th already?
Yeah.
And John Fierro has had a very busy night, much busier than he would like.
Here's a pitch in there for a strike call. Todd Haney, who came in to replace Sanchez, is batting in the pitcher spot. Hot shot, left field base hit for Haney. That little guy swings the bat good. Is a fine-looking infielder. And when you got middle infielders who make an impression, whether you use them or not, on your team, it gives you the opportunity to trade them to somebody else for something you might need.
And right now, Todd Haney's doing a fine job off the bench for the Cubs, and they need all the bench help they can get. And here's one of the men off the bench that's done a pretty good job in Scott Bullitt.
Facing a left-handed. That's how cruel this game is. Now here's a guy been waiting to get in the ball game. He's used only against right-handed pitching, so he came into play center last inning. And now they got a left-hander pitching his only time at bat in the contest. But there is a base hit. What?
Why, sure,
A
why
run
not?
scores, another man racing for third.
How about saving some for tomorrow?
Yeah, I should say.
Well, now every one of the Rocky pitchers tonight has been scored upon. Most of them scored upon early and often, as Bullitt drives this ball right down the line, drives in a run. For Scott, his 11th of the year. Scott's service scores easily.
Hickerson started the season with the Cubs getting ready for the Rockies. Right back to the pitcher. He throws the first for the out. Boy, he made that play very fortunately for him. The ball was sharply hit. So there's one out, and it's still at second and third. Here's Grace. Mark has had 2 RBIs, 73 for the year.
There was a mistake up on the board. It's only 19-4.
There's a ground ball to the third baseman over the first. Easy out. 19 runs, 23 hits, 3 errors. I knew somebody would make a mistake on the totals, including myself. In this inning, there's been a single, a double. A walk started and scored. Grace bounced out for the second out. And here's Sammy Sosa. Strike called. Sammy's had quite a night. 3 out of 4. Batted in 1 run is 77th.
Seems like everybody's had 3 out of 4.
Like last night for the Rockies. Whoa, the ball is thrown away, but it bounces back.
Well, that's the first break that the Rockies have caught tonight. This one gets by Owens. He's crossed up. He's looking curveball, gets a fastball, and he throws it right over his head, but it bounces right back to him.
Well, Jayhawk, lucky the ball bounced right back to him. Jayhawk Owens behind the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's a drive way back. Might be, could be. Holy
You can
cow,
take it to the
is.
bank.
A 3-run homer. And the Cubs are leading 22-4. How about that? His 22nd home run of the year for Sammy. 3 runs batted in on the blow, giving him a total of 4. He now has 80 home runs and 22 home runs.
Well, you could see Munoz just jumping on the mound. If you show it again, Arnie, you'll see the reaction of a pitcher who knows that his ERA is going up even higher than the 6.5 he came in with, and we will show it to you eventually. See Munoz release the pitch and just jump up and down when he sees Sammy crush it.
Sammy with 4 out of 5 for the night. 4 runs batted in, but how about Luis Gonzalez? He's had 6 RBIs.
Watch the reaction of Munoz.
Here's a ground ball, and the inning is over. However, 432 feet on the home run by Sammy. So the Cubs go into the bottom of the 7th, leading 22-4.
And Doug.
Give me your hand! I can save you! Lots of money with Liberty Mutual. We customize your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Well, this is overwhelming. Where to start? Listen to celebrity decorators with their million-dollar budgets and enormous staff? That's realistic. Or just step into a store. Oh, no. There's a better way. You've skimmed catalogs. You've browsed through blogs. You know what you like when you see it. Artful contemporary, Scandinavian minimalism, organic modern. You know what you want. Overstock's where you find it. Now let's get to work. A sofa, a floor lamp, an area rug. Never forget the area rug. Everything you need with free shipping every day. Easy, right? Getting it done with Overstock, where quality costs less.
When you're home, there's nothing like enjoying a classic with a classic. Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories.
There's never been a better time to have a favorite food. With new Grubhub Plus, you get unlimited free delivery and cashback rewards for ordering noodles. And noodles. And noodles. And noodles. Grubhub Plus. Free delivery, cashback, and noodles.
I had kind of given up hope. I wasn't going to spend $12,000 on hair plugs. But I tried this, and it was great, and I've never looked back.
I brush my teeth in the morning. I had braces when I was a child. We take care of other parts of our body. You can take care of your hairline. It's okay. I mean, I'm just grateful that the products work so well, that they're so convenient, and that I don't have to stress out about losing my hair anymore.
Don't wait until you lose more hair. Go to forhims.com right now.
Harry Carey with Steve Stone. Boy, oh boy. This has got to be the biggest total of runs of the year for the Cubs and the most hits for the Cubs. 22 runs, 24 hits, and 3 errors.
They're going to be hard-pressed to match these totals anyplace else but this ballpark. But there's still 2 games left in the series, so you never know.
Well, tomorrow we will not televise. We're preempted by the network with Al Michaels and Tim McCarver and Jim Palmer.
You think they're still around doing research for this one?
Yeah, oh no, they're in one of the producers' meetings the night before a game. 2 balls, no strike. Fouled out of play. Dante Bichette. I tell you, the smart people tonight were the people who went home with the rain.
Look at what they missed, though.
I'm sure what they missed, they didn't want to see their beloved Rockies getting clobbered.
Yeah, but they missed 3 successive innings where the Cubs scored 6, 3, and 4.
2 balls, 2 strikes. A little tap coming in. They let it roll. Fair ball, base hit. Bichette beats out a swinging bunt, actually. Oh, boy. There's got to be something wrong with that rule. Here's Kevin Foster. He had a 9-1 lead over 3 innings. Along comes a 2-hour and 35-minute rain delay, so he doesn't resume, and he does not get a victory. That's a shame, but that's the way it goes.
And then Mike Perez was in line for a victory, and he took a line drive off his foot.
Well, let's see now. Who'll be in line?
Probably Anthony Young, or they could award it if they wanted to Terry Adams if he goes the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Because after the starter doesn't go 5, it really is to the discretion of the official scorekeeper.
Well, when there's a possibility, in a case like this, they would give the victory to Anthony Young and the save to Terry Adams.
Well, if he goes the rest of the way, yes.
Yeah. Now, we ought to get a picture of this scoreboard. 7 in the first, nothing in the second, 2 in the third, nothing in the fourth, 6 in the fifth, 3 in the sixth, 4 in the seventh. Take a look at it. I think that Looks like the international debt. Ground ball. Only play first base, Haney. One away.
Terry Adams has thrown some pretty good sinkers tonight. And his very potent Rocky lineup, pounding everything into the ground.
Mike Kingery. After Vanderwall bounces out, Kingery comes in as a pinch hitter. 1 out, 1 on. Bottom of the 7th. Fouled it off.
A little tardy on the swing by Kingery. Didn't expect the velocity of Terry Adams. Swung when the ball was in Service's glove.
Scott Service with a fine night behind the plate. And he's carried his weight offensively also. With 2 out of 4. 2 runs scored. Here's the pitch in there, a strike call. 22, 24, and 3. They have a lottery around here. 1 out. Line drive, base hit. That'll score a man. And Bichette crosses the plate. Dante Bichette scores on Kingery's single to left.
Kingery doesn't hit this ball hard, but he finds a good spot for it, just dumping it over the head of Howard Johnson. Kingery has driven in his 34th run as Bichette scores easily.
One out, 1 in, 1 on. Gastilla, the third baseman. Ground ball up the middle, sharply hit. And runners are on now at first and second. And they're hitting Tracy Adams rather well. Joe Girardi is not in the ball game anymore, and Jayhawk Owens. Jayhawk Owens will replace Girardi behind the plate. Owens hitting .400. Strike call, the fastball. There's Wendell starting from the left, moving right. Randy Meyer. There's a pitch on the play. Same 2 teams tomorrow night. We will not televise. Be on WGN radio exclusively. Sunday, the leadoff man at 1:30. Here's a ground ball. Grace over to second for the 4th out. So Huck Owens bounces into a force play.
Larry Cassian loosening up. So you don't want to go too far with Terry Adams because you certainly could use his abilities in the next couple of games. And he's had some pretty good work tonight, so Brian Hickerson is coming on to pinch hit.
Hickerson probably is going to take over on the mound. First pitch low and outside. (22-5). 2 balls, no strikes. Runners first and third. There's a drive, way back, way back, way back. And a base hit, 1 run is in. 2 runs are in. And Hickerson goes into third base. A pitcher pinch hits. A 2-run triple.
Well, the Cubs had known that about Brian Hickerson. They might have used his left-handed bat off the bench, because he comes on and just crushes this ball. Hickerson was 1 for 2 coming in. He's now 2 for 3. And there was no doubt about that. That wasn't a cheapie. It was hit over 400 feet away. And 2 more runs scored.
Well, now it looks like a respectable football score. 22-7. Jason Bates, who's driven in 2 runs. And a double and a 2 runs single. Bottom of the 7th. Boy, oh boy. I know teams, when they got out this late, a manager would fine them. And here both these clubs still in the ball game. Ball 4 and Jason Bates walks. Runners first and third. Here's Riggleman coming out. He's motioned to the bullpen. And here's Larry Cashin coming in. It's a 22-7 score in favor of the Cubs.
Timmons will bat 7th.
Ozzie Timmons coming into the game. He's going to hit 7. He replaces Louis Gonzalez, who certainly has had a full night's work.
And here's Eric Young, the leadoff man. He is 0 for 3, 2 out. 22-7 in favor of the Cubs.
Cassian's really done a nice job, especially since coming off the disabled list. He's 1-0, a fine 1.23 ERA, on for the 22nd time.
There's a curveball, a little bit high. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out. 3 in. High fly ball, deep right field. Sammy Sosa grabs it to retire the side. 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th. The Cubs are leading 22-7.
Test your Cubs knowledge alongside the experts.
Hi, it's Chris Myers. Coming up this week on Play at Home Trivia, presented by Miller Lite. We have 2 former Cubs and Dan Plesac and Carlos Pena. How many Platinum Glove winners have won a Cubs uniform?
I guess, and I commit to.
If you're going to try to get 9 innings out of me, you've called the wrong guy.
Stay safe at home and play safe at home with Chris Myers, presented by Miller Lite, Wednesday at 7.
Running a business here comes with ups and downs. The downs make you tougher. The ups keep you pushing. At Wintrust, we know what that's like because we started here too and have found a way forward. From us to you, keep going. We've got your back.
Why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those
who are most susceptible.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others.
For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
Marquee Sports Network counts down the top 35 announcer calls of all time.
Long drive, way back, it might be, it could be, and it is.
Jason Hayward makes a catch, it's a no-hitter. Here comes the hook. Got him, 20 strikeouts. The Cubs win the World Series. The Cubs countdown, tonight at 11 on Marquee Sports Network.
Harry Carey back at the ballpark. Coors Stadium. Ah, little baby. How about having your little daughter staying up so late to watch a ball game? She's learning bad habits.
And she is a little tired, as you would expect. If nothing
Cute
else,
little
but
kid.
watching everybody run around the bases.
We're in the 8th inning. Hickerson, who hit the long triple, stay in the ball game. He came in as a pinch hitter and is staying in the pitch. Hickerson is hit better than he's pitched. He's batting better than .500 with 2 out of 3. Joe K-Max, the hitter. Two balls, no strikes. Hickerson. There's a ground ball up the middle, a base hit. So Kamak singles the center.
And Ozzie Timmons will have his first shot of the night against Brian Hickerson, whose ERA for Colorado is 12.15 in 8 games. This is 9th appearance, 7.75 overall, and this is 47th appearance.
Timmons hitting .240, 5 homers, 20 RBIs. One on.
Our records against the Rockies.
Curveball low inside.
And Harry, both the runs and hit totals are records against the Rocky pitching. Expos scored 19 runs with 22 hits. That was the former record, but the Cubs 22 and 25 tonight, the new record.
There's a drive in the right field, hit pretty hard. Nice catch, trying for the double play, can't make it. Timmons lined hard. Van der Waal. Here's Scott Service. Boy, look at all those numbers. 22 runs, 25 hits, 3 errors. There's a pitch foul on a play. Service doubled him on a run in the first. Doubled again in the fourth. Struck out a couple of times. Walked and scored in the 7th. Another base hit for Scott Service. And he, like Luis Gonzalez, the 2 refugees from the Houston Astros, is having a great night. That gives him 3 out of 5.
Drives it through the left side. Castilla cannot get to it. And the hit parade continues against Brian Hickerson.
Here's Haney. Todd Haney singled his first time up. His only time up. Pitch over the outside corner, strike call. 22 runs on 25 hits. Curveball outside. We're in the top of the 8th.
Still plenty of good seats available.
Fastball high. It is now tomorrow in Denver, 10-1.
It's good that Brian is nipping at the corners.
You know, remember now the WGN news.
Which news?
Here's the pitch high. He walked Haney. And
the morning news might follow the ball game.
The bases are loaded. One away. And here is Brian McRae. He's had 4 hits tonight. 4 out of 6.
Darren Holmes loosening up in the bullpen. He would be the 7th Rocky pitcher if he saw some action tonight. Hickerson having trouble with the signs from Jayhawk Owens.
Scott Bullock will line to double to right, driving in a run. His only time up in the 7th.
And Hickerson wants a meeting with Owens. Owens is going, well, I'm going to put down some fingers, pick one out that nobody hits.
Owens probably said to him, how come you can hit better than you can pitch?
Well, he does have a resounding 2-run triple tonight.
Bases are loaded. Long drive into left field on the run. Hey, he cannot catch the ball. 1 run in, 2 runs in, 3 runs in. Bullet trying for 3rd. He slides in safely. Wow. A bases loaded triple in all probability.
Scott Bullitt has been up twice. He's doubled in a run. Now he's tripled in 3 runs. And not one of the Rocky pitchers has emerged unscathed tonight. A good effort, but Burks comes up well short. And that clears the bases. The Cubs now with 25 runs, 27 hits.
Did anybody ever make 40 runs in the game?
I haven't the foggiest, but the Cubs are on their way.
Here's a pitch, a bouncing ball to the shortstop, throwing over to first. A run scores on the play. And Hernandez bounces out. Bullet crossing the plate. Well, 4 runs this inning. Cubs have these totals. 7 in the first, nothing in the second, 2 in the third, nothing in the fourth, 6 in the fifth, 3 in the sixth, 4 in the seventh, 4 in the 8th. Boy, that's a shame they were in a slump in the 2nd inning and in the 4th.
Well, don't forget, it took them some time to come back, get loosened up after the rain delay. So that accounts for no runs in the 4th.
I'm sure glad the umpires waited that long to resume the game.
Hey,
though.
Anything's better than a doubleheader.
The ground ball. Eric Young up with it, throwing to first to retire the side. 4 runs on 3 hits. We go into the bottom half of the 8th with the Cubs leading 26-7.
This is internet stuff, streaming stuff, social stuff. You want it. You need it. And WOW is the best way to enjoy it. Switch to save on all your favorite stuff with a super fast internet connection for a price that's really something to see. $34.99 per month, guaranteed for 2 years. And when you sign up today, get a $100 Visa prepaid reward card.
Hi, I'm Lolly, a Domino's franchisee.
As you can see, we're open and working hard to safely keep putting food on people's tables.
And we could use your help doing that.
If getting some full or part-time work during these tough times could help you,
Domino's is hiring.
Head to jobs.domino's.com
And apply today. Because we're not only committed to putting food on people's tables,
we're committed to helping you put food on your table.
Let's pray.
As we all hunker down in these tough times, grass keeps growing, livestock still needs to be fed, and there's plenty of hauling to do. Mahindra is here to help. Visit whymahindra.com from the safety of your home and build your own tractor. Your Mahindra dealer will give you a quote and deliver to your land. Mahindra, the official tractor of tough. Get no payments for 90 days and 0 down, 0% financing during Mahindra's spring sale.
Every generation has its heroes who see past themselves and the risks and the fear to run toward the danger with courage and compassion. Touching lives, saving lives, changing us all. Every generation has its heroes, and you are ours. Advocate Aurora Health.
Harry Carey back at the ballpark. The last time the Cubs ever scored 26 runs was back in 1922. Dante Bichetti, one away. Bichette has 2 out of 4 and a run batted in. His 92nd of the year. What's on TV this late?
I know Arnie's never been up this late.
1 out, nobody on. Arnie, here's the pitch, swung and fouled. What time they start running those races in France?
You believe that it's been since 1922 since the Cubs have scored 26 runs?
You know, that's 70 years ago.
Jeez.
I wasn't even born then.
Well, don't get carried away.
Now the 1-1 pitch. Outside, ball 2. You know, be very honest with you. Here's the pitch, a little bit low. You know, when I finished the first 3 innings to go over the radio, I thought, oh boy, with the rain delay, I won't have to do all that.
Yeah, I know you
over
did.
the radio, they fill all the time.
You took calls for 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Here's ball 4 to Bissett. Dante Bissett. John Vanderwall, the hitter.
There's a man who's had a long night watching his pitching staff give up record numbers in runs and hits. The all-time record against Rocky pitching. Both the runs and the hits, an all-time record tonight.
You know, here's something I'd like to do. With this being the 34th sellout of the season, the 30th straight sellout, I like going around and count all the people who are here. You can count them individually right now. There's a ground ball. Throw down to second by Hojo, over to first. 4 out, no double play. K-Max at third base. Well, he's a pretty good ball player.
He got a big smile on his face. Figures he handled the first chance flawlessly.
So K-Mac replaced Hojo Johnson at third base. Now K-Mac is the catcher. Bouncing ball, foul. Boy, how can the team look so great as the Rockies did last night, and 24 hours later look so terrible as they've looked today? Well, that's what makes it such a great game. You never know. Let's pause for identification.
This is America's #1 sports station, WGN TV, Chicago.
Mike Kingery, hot shot, up with the knee over the first to retire the side. No runs, one left. At the end of 8, the Cubs lead 26-7.
You might take something for your heart, your joints, or your digestion. So why wouldn't you take something for the most important part of you, your brain? With an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish, Prevagen has been shown in clinical trials to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Doug.
Give me your hand! I can save you! Lots of money with Liberty Mutual! We customize your car insurance so you only pay for what you need!
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Tell us we can't, and we'll prove you wrong. Knock us down, and we'll get right back up. Call us risk takers, misfits, bad boys. But we know what we want, and it feels like American muscle, looks like advanced engineering, and smells like fresh, cut grass. Bad boy, mow with an attitude.
There's never been a better time to have a favorite food. With new Grubhub Plus, you get unlimited free delivery and cashback rewards for ordering noodles. And noodles. And noodles. And noodles. Grubhub Plus, free delivery, cashback, and noodles.
You're watching Cubs Classics presented by Prevagen. It's 1990s week. Let's get back to the action.
An offensive outburst, the likes of which has not been seen for 73 years.
Here's a pitch outside. Boy, oh boy, 26 runs on 27 hits. And the tough part about it, it's happening so late, none of the papers will even have a line about the ballgame tomorrow morning. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Swung, and he missed them. And so Sammy strikes out in the 9th. And here is Cassian. 1 out. Well, more and more I think it looks like Anthony Young will be the winner.
They've already announced that he's the pitcher of record for the Cubs.
Good.
And of course, Brett Saberhagen, who lasted a third of an inning, gave up 7 runs on 5 hits, will be the loser for the Rockies.
And the Rockies are a little bit concerned, I would guess, that Saberhagen has been such a disappointment in 2 starts. He won the first start, allowing 4 runs. What's that? The Hawk? Strike call. The rains came when the game was only 3 innings old, and the score was a very respectable 9-1 Cubs. Now the Cubs lead 26-7. Joe Kamak singled his first time up. He now is playing third base. 1 out, nobody on. Swing is into misses. Well, last night the Rockies pulverized the Cubs. Tonight, the reverse. The Cubs have pounded the Rockies. What will it be tomorrow? Pitch a little bit outside. Two balls, 2 strikes. Cubs will be 5 games out from the wild card. There's a high fly ball center field. And that retires the side. 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of the 9th. The Cubs are leading 26-7. Harry Carey back at Coors Stadium as we go into the bottom of the 9th. There's the security staff of the police department around here. No matter, don't worry about Coors. This bud's for you.
Randy Myers coming on to pick up an inning of work so he's not rusty when he's needed in a game that needs his magic touch. Randy comes in 1-2, 4.02 ERA, on for the 41st time.
Randy facing Vinny Castilla, who's 2 out of 4. We're in the bottom of the 9th. High pop fly on the infield who will be caught. Grace is there, makes the play, 1 away. 1 pitch, 1 out. Jay Hawk Owens is the hitter.
1 1/3 innings pitched, 1 walk. 1 1/3 innings, 1 walk.
Tomorrow will be Frank Castillo trying to take you to the Ritz. The pitcher for the Rockies will be Kenny Ritz.
Stay tuned after the game for the GMC truck game highlights, and there are plenty of them. And let's hope Arnie runs them very slowly.
Kevin Ritz is 1-9, lost 8. There's a high pop fly back out of play. Castilla popped up to Grace. Here's Jay Hawk Owens with a count of 2 balls and a strike. He almost swung, held up. 3 balls and a strike. Jim Riggleman talking with Dan. Here's a pitch. There's a looper in the short center field, but Bullock comes in, makes the catch. Don Radisson and Jim Riggleman discussing things. 2 up, 2 down. There Cub fans up cheering. With the Cubs only 1 out away from shellacking the Rockies. There's a pitch fouled out of play. Holmes, the pitcher, hitting for himself. Darren Holmes. Anthony Young will be the winner in this ball game. There'll be no save. There's a high fly ball. Center field, Bullet coming in. Makes the catch, and the ball game is over. And the Cubs have defeated the Rockies 26-7.
That does it for this edition of Cubs Classics presented by Prevagen. Thanks for watching.
Hey, back again. Another edition of Cubs 360 presented by Miller Lite is on the air. I'm Cole Wright. I'll be holding it down for the next 30 minutes at your service. And today, it's a special day because we have a special guest on the program. Now, he's a political commentator and he writes for the Washington Post. He's also a lifelong Cubs fan who grew up down there in Champaign, Illinois. Welcome to Cubs 360. George Will. George, thanks for stopping by, man.
Glad to be with you.
Absolutely. Let's meet your running buddies today because it'll be season 16 on the call for the Chicago Cubs. You know him, you love him, you see him here all the time. It's Len Casper. And speaking about a guy that we see here all the time, I'm convinced he doesn't have anything else to do, just like myself. He's a Marquee Sports Network contributor from 670 The Score. It's Bruce Levine. Now, guys, on tap today, that shortstop first base debate for Ernie Banks when it comes to the Cubs all-time team, plus Alex Rodriguez to the National League, not as a player, but potentially as an owner. We'll discuss that and much, much more as the day progresses. But first things first, of course, we have to tackle that top story as we usually do, because Major League Baseball players, they will not renegotiate the terms of an agreement that they reached with the league on March 26th, as you may recall. Now, Tony Clark, the head of the Players Association, he told the Associated Press, quote, that the negotiations are over. An earlier report indicated the union would have to agree to lower salaries if games are played without fans. So, George, we know Tony Clark. He was on the Detroit Tigers for quite some time, and he is now the head of the Players Association. We heard that they won't take any further pay cuts. So what do you make of all this once the dust settles?
Well, the union, which may be the most powerful union in the world in terms of its control over the industry it represents people in, is as powerful as it is at getting wonderful salaries for its members because those members draw fans through the turnstiles and draw eyeballs and ears to the broadcasts. If all of that collapses, it's hard to see how you can say that the ownership, which negotiated these contracts under one set of assumptions, has to fulfill the contracts under radically different circumstances. So it seems to me, if you have, say, and this is possible, it seems to me, at most a 50-game season, played in neutral parks, it's not clear to me that fans are going to look upon this as anything other than a glorified exhibition season. And they're simply not going to draw the attention that advertisers assumed when they signed the broadcast agreements and all the rest. So it seems to me a bit dogmatic for the union to say that the way the world looked in the middle of March is the way it has to look in the middle of, say, of July.
And taking it one step further from George, where are the revenues coming from? As he pointed out, this is a different track that we're looking at right now. We know that over 40% of the revenues come from the game day ticket sales and the ancillary issues around the game at the ballpark. So you're talking about maybe 60% of the money coming in revenue-wise for the Major League Baseball owners and players if and when there are games. And then again, what's predicated on advertising sales. So from all of that, you would have to say that the Players Association is going to have to be reasonable about what available monetary gains they get during these very tough times.
I read the Jeff Passan piece, and the line that really caught my eye was that some teams, and I don't know how many there are, maybe a very small handful, but some teams may believe that not playing a season may be more economically advantageous than playing a season at all with no fans and having to pay the players full freight. That's pretty scary for an industry that makes a lot of money. The last thing you want to do as an industry is put any of your constituents into a bankruptcy. So that's number one. Number two, I mean, I agree with everything Bruce and George said, that, you know, the owners are going to take a big hit. The players are going to have to as well. However, you always have to follow the money. And what I worry about the most, guys, is the veteran players who do not need the money, who have young children, who basically say, I would rather sit out than spend 3-4 months without my kids. I don't need the money. I'm making 20, 30 million a year. I think it may come down to those guys deciding they have to do what's best for everybody and not necessarily for themselves. And as we know, I think good intentions are one thing, but when it comes down to the bottom line, there'll be some people, including possibly Scott Boras, who's maybe the most powerful person on the players' side, just saying that we don't want to set a precedent where we take less money than what we negotiated.
I think there's another problem that I think baseball hasn't quite come to terms with. What do you do with the numbers generated in a 50-game season in neutral parks? Do you count these in career statistics? Part of baseball's hold on its fan base is that it is a habit. Football is a spectacle, baseball is a habit. And the habit means taking seriously the sediment of numbers that is produced. What happens when you have a season that, dress it up how you will, does not look like anything other than spring training redux?
Absolutely. And George, you touched on neutrality, and there could be more potential sites for games because when you take a look at those locations, you can add Texas to the list of states that Major League Baseball is considering as a site for the 2020 Major League season. Now, a CBS Sports report has indicated that Major League Baseball is reviewing a proposal in which teams would be stationed in 3 different states. That would be Texas, Florida, and Arizona, and it's still unclear how the teams would be grouped. Now, the squads and their affiliated personnel, they would be isolated, and games would be held without fans. So we heard about the 3 hubs. So George or Len, let's go with you. How do you feel about the proposal of playing in 3 different places?
There have been a lot of ideas thrown out there. One is Arizona exclusively, one is Arizona and Florida, and the newest one is the one you just mentioned. I think this is maybe the easiest decision probably to make because all of the things that follow it become, I think, much trickier. But I'll bring up one logistical question about where we play. If there's some sort of temporary immigration ban, and I'm not making this political, but you have a lot of players right now who are actually probably not even in the United States. You have to get them to where we're going to play. So if you can get past that, to me, it almost doesn't matter where we play. I think they'll figure that out.
With the security and with the trainers and with the clubhouse people and everyone else, there's probably 1,000 people involved in this. Now that gets pretty difficult under social distancing. And if we have, as is quite possible to have, a second bounce of this virus in late August or September, all these bets are off and all this is mere speculation.
Well, and one other thing to keep in mind, if we start up in late July or early August, that's head and head with the NFL. And there, as George mentioned so well and so succinctly, there's a momentum with baseball that occurs from spring training on April, May, June, July into the postseason. There will be no momentum. They'll be going head to head against the NFL in their startup. And how much interest will there be in baseball in a shortened season going head to head against the NFL and the other sports sneaking up very quickly after that?
Well, we'll see where the ideal location eventually is, whether it be Arizona, Arizona and Florida, Arizona, Florida, and Texas. Only time will tell. There's still more to come right here on this show because he's a gentleman and a scholar, and you won't find a bigger Cubs fan than that man right there, George Will. He's seen some of the best and biggest moments in the history of the Chicago Cubs franchise, and of course, we're going to discuss those next week right right here next on Cubs 360.
When you're home, there's nothing like enjoying a classic with a classic. Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories.
Do you have concerns about mild memory loss related to aging? Prevagen is the #1 pharmacist-recommended memory support brand. You can find it in the vitamin aisle in stores everywhere. Prevagen. Healthier brain, better life.
Hi, I'm Lolly, a Domino's franchisee.
As you can see, we're open and working hard to safely keep putting food on people's tables.
And we could use your help doing that.
If getting some full or part-time work during these tough times could help you,
Domino's is hiring.
Head to jobs.domino's.com
and apply today.
Because we're not only committed to putting food on people's tables,
We're committed to helping you put food on your table.
Who's most at risk for coronavirus? People over 65, people with underlying medical conditions like heart disease, chronic lung disease, asthma, diabetes, people undergoing cancer treatment, and people with weakened immune systems. What should you do if you or a loved one is at higher risk? Avoid close contact with people, avoid crowds, stay home if you can, wash your hands frequently, learn more ways to protect yourself and others at coronavirus.gov.
Take a ride and roll back to the 1990s. All week long, Marquee Sports Network will feature all games from the 90s. From the All-Star Game at Wrigley,
the Stars have come out in Chicago,
to the Summer of Slam and Sammy.
Swung on, there she goes, number 62. Robert Big Mac, you got company.
Cubs Classics, 90s Week, all week long on Marquee Sports Network. Proudly presented by Prevagen.
I don't care if I never get back for its root. Root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some more runs.
Back here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite, and that was George Will, 2014, on the microphone on that 7th inning stretch. He, oh, by the way, is the author of a book called A Nice Little Place on the North Side, Wrigley Field at 100. And honored to have you on the show today, George Will, joining us on Cubs 360, along with Bruce and Lynn. And George, we want to dig a little deeper about your Cubs fandom because we know that you grew up in Champaign, Illinois. So when it comes to your earliest Cubs memory, what is it?
Well, I know that it was 1948 when I was 7 years old. I decided to be a Cub fan when all my friends were becoming Cardinal fans. It was the dividing line in the state. And that was the year that the Cub ownership took out ads in the Chicago papers apologizing for the team. So I cannot be accused of being a front runner from the start. I grew up with, I remember Phil Cavaretta and Andy Pafko and Gene Hermansky and Eddie Mixus and Dutch Leonard and Paul Menner and Bob Rush and all those now largely forgotten players, and because many of them were, I'm afraid, forgettable. But it was baseball was literally in the air then. There were 4 teams in the radio region, to the Browns and Cardinals and White Sox and Cubs. And Bert Wilson was the Cubs broadcaster. So it was just, to me, the Cubs represented metropolitan America, my glimpse of Chicago.
You know, George, the Cubs were the lovable losers for so long, and especially after 1945 when you started to become a Cub fan and for so many years. How did you deal with the great success of 2016 and the fact that the Cubs had finally gotten over this idea that there was a curse, that they were a lousy organization, and that they were at the top of the heap?
The Cubs didn't even have a major league curse. I mean, the curse of the Bambino is one thing, but some guy's billy goat curse because he wasn't allowed to bring a farm animal into a metropolitan ballpark struck me as pretty inferior. I was at the Bartman game. I mean, I've been through an awful lot of this stuff. So in 2016, I instantly had the answer to a question I'd been asked. What will it be like if you win? Will the spell be broken and you won't care that much anymore? No, I wanted to win in 2017. I think dynasty is one of the most lovely words in the baseball lexicon. So 2016 was immensely satisfying. I think Cub fans owe an awful lot to a 17-minute rain delay in Cleveland. The most stupendous athletic achievement of that World Series was the Cleveland ground crew getting the tarp on and off in that time. But it all worked out well. And then again, this Cub fan woke up and said, that was fun. Let's do it again.
By the way, speaking of curses, Bruce, the shot of Bruce is kind of reminding me of 1969, just a little bit too much. Hey, George, I want to bring it forward a little bit. Typically, I run into you actually in Washington, D.C., and kind of compare Cubs fandom with Nationals fandom. And while there was a history in Washington, for most fans who follow the Nationals now, they do not remember the old Senators. So what is a Washington Nationals fan like in terms of starting in 2005? And now that they've won a World Series, compare and contrast that to that of a Cub fan in 2016.
Well, they've been denied the great satisfaction of an opening day, pennant raising, ring distributing celebration. So there's a loss here. Washington is a town of a lot of people from elsewhere, and it takes a while for them to begin to identify with the local team. A lot of people come to town and they're still Tigers fans. They used to have the Tigers congressional offices had a Mayo Smith Society in honor of an old Tiger manager. Weaning them people away from the affection they brought with them from elsewhere has required work to develop, to use the word I've used before, the habit of baseball. I think it's working. They've had a lot of help because the Redskins have been so appalling. And the Redskins owner, Dan Snyder, is such an unsympathetic figure that while the Redskins 20 years ago owned Washington, today they are a distant third to the Nationals and the Capitals in hockey. So this is becoming a baseball town. I know that Ted Lerner, the principal owner, said that what they needed to break through and become more than a $2.2 million fans a year franchise was to win the World Series. Well, they did it. And as bad luck would have it, they haven't been able to capitalize it yet, at least.
Well, George, since you've been a Cubs fan since you were 7 years old, you're going to be the perfect person to talk about this with next, because an all-time Cubs lineup, it's right around the corner, and it was put together with Banks, Williams, Rizzo, and Dawson. So who's going to start at first, and who's on the hill, starting pitcher? We're going to donate our 2 cents as soon as Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite, hustles back.
Deals bigger than Black Friday going on now at Overstock with over 1 million deals. Every category on sale, including furniture, rugs, decor, and so much more. And now, free shipping on everything. Overstock, where quality costs less.
Unexpectedly, she had to do open heart surgery. It was definitely a tense time. It was good to just come here and feel a little normal and to get a nice hot meal and like a nice warm bed.
Helps you bring strength to your family.
No matter what's ahead, I know that Ronald McDonald House will be there for us. They're like family, so they'll take care of us.
Hey guy, hi there. Welcome to HIMS.
Should have done it years ago, and I feel like the young stud that I always imagined I was.
Outstanding product. Works above and beyond our expectations.
This has been a life changer, even in just a few weeks.
Featured in GQ, Playboy, and Men's Health. Find out what all the buzz is about. Go to forhims.com/ED and get started with a free online visit while supplies last.
There's never been a better time to have a favorite food. With new Grubhub Plus, you get unlimited free delivery and cashback rewards for ordering noodles. And noodles. And noodles. And noodles. Grubhub Plus, free delivery, cashback, and noodles.
Let's pray.
As we all hunker down in these tough times, grass keeps growing,
Livestock still needs to be fed, and there's plenty of hauling to do. Mahindra is here to help. Visit whymahindra.com from the safety of your home and build your own tractor. Your Mahindra dealer will give you a quote and deliver it to your land. Mahindra, the official tractor of Tough. Get no payments for 90 days and 0 down, 0% financing during Mahindra's spring sale.
I'm Wilson Contreras.
I'm Kyle Schwarber.
I'm Albert Almora Jr.
Catch all the Cubs games on Marquee Sports Network.
Many restaurants and bars are closed, leaving millions without work. America's taps are off, but the tips are needed more than ever. Miller Lite is helping with a virtual tip jar that supports the Bartender Emergency Assistance Program via the USBG National Charity Foundation. Now, they started off with $1 million donation and are asking those who can to join them at virtualtips.org, and they'll continue to support the effort as we continue to face this unprecedented time. Welcome back to Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. Now, Major League Baseball and DraftKings, they lined up a list of all-time great Cubs and put them at each position. Let's have a look at this. Gabby Hartnett, he was at catcher. The infield, well, boasts Anthony Rizzo, Ryan Sandberg, Ron Santo, and, of course, Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks. Patrolling the outfield, Billy Williams, Hack Wilson, and Sammy Sosa, while Andre Dawson, he'll hold down the designated hitter duties. Now, let's take a look at the rest of the lineup. Ferguson Jenkins and Mordecai Three Fingers Brown, they lead the starting pitchers, while Kerry Wood and Jake Arrieta were put in the bullpen. Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, and Mark Grace, they will be on the bench. So back here on Cubs 360 with the guys, it's Bruce, Len, and George, and it got our wheels spinning here, guys. And let's get now to our Miller Lite refreshing take of the day. When it comes to this Cubs all-time team, Ernie Banks, he should be the starting first baseman, not the shortstop. Len, I'll start with you. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm a big no. Number one, if you take Ernie from shortstop, you remove all of his superpowers. He basically was a Hall of Famer at short. If his career ended in 1960 or 61, he might have been in the Hall of Fame anyway. His career OPS as a shortstop was .913. He redefined that position, which had never really been an offensive position. He also redefined it in this way. Taller players were not shortstops before Ernie took over that spot.
Before he came along, shortstops were named Pee Wee Reese and Scooter Rizzuto. And you had Louis Aparicio. They were cute, but and that sort of defined what shortstop meant. And along came Banks with those wrists and that supple bat of his, and all of a sudden it was an offensive position to be expected to produce runs and to drive in runs. That's his significance in the history of baseball. There've been lots of people with 500 home runs, but he was the first to make a middle infielder that kind of producer.
And we're going to agree all the way across the board. Ernie Banks averaged 38 home runs a year as a shortstop in the 7+ seasons that he played shortstop till 1960. The rest of his career, he averaged 20 home runs for the next 11 or 11 and a half years of his career. So the impact, as Len and George both point out, is so significant on so many different levels. And, again, defining the position, as Len pointed out, is so important. But I do have a problem with some of the other parts of the lineup. And, again, I picked Sandberg on my team as well. But if you don't have Rogers Hornsby, who's the greatest right-handed hitter in the history of baseball, on your bench, there's something wrong with your bench. Hornsby probably should be on.
Well, we will see. We'll see if our lineups jive with everyone else's, because we know that when it comes to the Cubs, we're the most learned voices out there. Isn't that right, gentlemen? Of course it is. All right. Now, still to come right here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite. He went from a guy nobody wanted to touch with a 10-foot pole to a man with baseball's magic touch. So could Alex Rodriguez be Major League Baseball's next owner of the Metropolitans? We'll discuss that. That's next right here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite.
These are uncertain times, but we at First Midwest Bank remain strong, remain committed to our clients, to our communities. And we want those who are uncertain in these uncertain times to know that even though we currently all need to stay apart, we are all in this together. First Midwest Bank.
The Our Home is the Training Ground for Her Dreams policy from American Family Insurance. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly.
I had a husband who was my vision, but when he died, I knew I was in big trouble.
At care.com, search for lots of local caregivers who can help with meals, housekeeping, personal care, and more. It costs less than you think, and it's easy to pay. Care.com.
Hi, it's Chris Myers. Coming up this week on Play at Home Trivia, presented by Miller Lite. We have two former Cubs, and Dan Plesac and Carlos Pena, a couple of all-stars. They test their Cubs baseball knowledge plus Chicago pop culture movie entertainment knowledge. It's an exciting matchup, hitter, pitcher. And we have a question, Cole, not only for you, but for our guys here on the panel. How many Platinum Glove winners have won a Cubs uniform since the award was introduced in 2011? Dan, you have a thought on that?
I have no idea, but I know, Chris, it wasn't me because I used a cast iron skillet. There was no platinum gloves for me.
Carlos, I guess.
I would say Hayward.
Well, all right. Well, we'll stay tuned.
One.
All right. Well, we'll see if people at home know or if Cole knows. We hope you tune in, though, to Play at Home Trivia.
Well, Chris, I don't know. Maybe it's Anthony Rizzo, the only Chicago player, Cub or White Sox, to ever take home a Platinum Glove, and he did so in 2016. Make a note, because you can catch a new edition of Play at Home at 7 p.m. Central. That's Wednesday, right here on Marquee Sports Network, as Chris Myers, as he gets you up to speed on everything with former Cub Dan Plesac and Carlos Pena. They're going to go head-to-head. Now, back here on Cubs 360, presented by Miller Lite with Bruce, Len, and George. And, guys, how about this? A-Rod and J-Lo, we know they're worth $700 million, but they're getting pretty serious about their bid to buy the New York Metropolitans. They've actually retained J.P. Morgan Chase to help them organize some funds. So when it comes to a 2009 World Series champ with the Yankees owning the Mets, Bruce, what's going on here?
Well, you know, A-Rod's not going to let Derek Jeter one-up him by being an owner, you know, a former teammate, and always trying to grab the headlines. So it's incumbent upon him and J-Lo to buy some interest, or the main interest, in the Mets. And it's not the first time in history that famous people have bought baseball teams, going back into the 50s, late 40s. The great comic Joey Brown, also Bob Hope, and Bing Crosby owned parts of the Indians and the Pittsburgh Pirates. So this is nothing new. It's famous people with a lot of money, and A-Rod would look good as an owner. He looks good in a suit.
I don't have a whole lot to add to it. I don't particularly care who owns the Mets, but I will say this. I do think the trend of former Major League players buying teams will continue, because over the last 20 years or so, we've seen the salary skyrocket to the point where a lot of guys are retiring with $150, $200, $300 million in the bank.
I don't think combined they're nearly rich enough to own the Metropolitans. Their value, I don't know what Forbes is rating them at now, but it's probably at least a $2 and probably a $3 billion team by now, particularly if you count their sports network. In the late 70s, I was having dinner with some businessmen in Omaha, and they said, "What would you really like?" And I said, "I'd like to be an owner of the Cubs. I'd like to own a share of stock," which they then had. The guy across the table said, "I can help you with that." His name was Warren Buffett. And I did get a share of Cubs stock, which I guess made me an owner. In that sense, Derek Jeter is an owner of the Marlins. The real owner is a guy who's got a lot of money from a hedge fund. And I think if J-Lo and A-Rod become the figureheads of the Mets, the real owner is going to be someone with a lot deeper pockets.
Well, George, maybe you can set up a one-on-one Omaha Steaks dinner with Warren Buffett, with A-Rod and J-Lo. Hopefully you can facilitate that. And thanks for stopping by the show today. We really appreciate the time. And for everybody at Marquee Sports Network, including Bruce and Lynn, I'm Cole Wright. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Enjoy your day.
Hi there and welcome to the Stadium, your source for Chicago sports. I'm Michael Kim. Thanks so much for watching. Coming up, he wasn't born here. He didn't grow up here. He no longer plays here. But Robbie Gould is a Chicagoan through and through. We will catch up with the former Bears kicker, and he'll explain why he misses spending his nights at Wrigley Field. That's ahead. But first, it is NFL Draft Week, and we are about 48 hours away from the first pick. For Ryan Pace and the Bears, well, they have to wait a little bit longer because currently they do not hold a first-round pick. The first virtual draft in the history of the NFL appears to be a go for Thursday's launch after league officials and representatives from all 32 teams spent part of Monday going through a mock draft to test all the lines of communication. Earlier today, the Bears GM held his final session with reporters before going into double secret quarantine for the draft, but he explains that other teams know how to reach him.
We go over all the scenarios of with either one of those picks, moving up under certain scenarios or moving back under certain scenarios. But we have a good feel for what type of players will be there around those picks. And just depending how the draft's unfolding, we'll know if, hey, I feel like we can move back right now, accumulate some additional picks and still be in a good pool of players. We've already touched base with numerous teams and talked over some of those things. I think we do that every year. I think it makes it a little easier. But one of the things, I was just talking to Matt and Joey Lane this morning about this. I think the continuity that we have with each other makes it easier. I don't feel like trades for us are going to be any more difficult this year. I mean, I have a phone here right in front of me. But no, it's the same phone that I would have in the draft room with every GM direct dialed on and the click of one button. So I think everything's efficient. I think leaning on the continuity of our staff, I don't have any concerns about us pulling off trades or being aggressive in that nature if we need to be.
Pace also said if a quarterback was there and he was the highest guy on our board in a strong way, we would consider that. Now, as it stands, the Bears hold the 43rd and 50th overall picks. Recent draft history tells us that there is good talent available within this range. Since Ryan Pace took over as the GM in 2015, here are some notable players who were taken between the 43rd and 50th picks. But should the Bears want to make a move and get in on the fun Thursday night, here's a suggestion from our Stadium NFL insider, Mark Dominic.
Look, if the Bears want to trade back in the first round, I think you've got to do two things. Number one, you have to have your list of guys you truly know and feel are first-round talent. Generally, that list starts at around the mid-20s, like 22 to 25 is where I think if the Bears want to go do that, that's where you got to go. But you got to stay true to the board. You can't get emotional. You already need to have this already worked out. Ryan Pace already needs to have his first-rounders lined up 1 through 23 or 1 through 24, whatever amount of players he thinks are first-rounders. If that guy starts to fall, that's where the Bears should consider, because I think Ryan Pace is in a critical year. We all know the Bears need to get back to the postseason. If they feel like a first-round talent can jump on that team right now, then that's where I would look to, and I would look for the Bears again between pick 22 and 25 if they're going to make that move.
While the NFL draft is serious business with jobs on the line at every level for every team, the virtual nature of this year's draft could lead to some comedic moments for some old school guys in NFL front offices dealing with new school technology. Wait, did someone mention school? Knock on wood if you're with me, John Gruden.
Excuse me, Professor Morris?
Yes.
My name is John Gruden. I'm the coach of the Raiders.
Okay.
Well, I'm getting ready. We're getting ready for the NFL draft. I don't have a lot of time. Well, I'm a little confused. I think I can see.
No one can't see you.
Nobody can see me, huh?
Started there. There you go. We did it.
Thank God my wife helped me out here. Stay positive and keep working. We're all in this together, and we got to make the best of a tough situation. I know you guys will. See you guys. Have a great day.
Go Vols. Bye.
Go Vols.
Thank you.
All right. See you later. How do I sign out? I don't know if I can get out of here.
Oh boy. Steve Phillips, our MLB insider, joining us right now on the stadium. Steve, how closely are baseball officials going to be watching this weekend's NFL draft, knowing that they may have to go to a virtual draft come July?
Well, I think one thing's really clear. Managers will not be part of the plan to set up the technology for that. John Gruden ruined it for everybody. The good thing for baseball front offices, you got analytics departments with a lot of computer tech savvy kids in there. They're all about gadgets and numbers and everything else. They're going to be fine. I go back to the day where we did the draft on a conference call on the phone. That they would call in, you'd leave it on the speakerphone, and you'd be in your war room making sure you hit mute. Sometimes teams wouldn't hit mute, and you hear what they're thinking about for their next pick going on as well. But listen, I think technology has come a long way, and I think that the good thing is baseball has and will learn from other leagues and what they're doing. I think baseball will be clearer than football, but football needs to get it together because they're just a couple days away.
Right. I'm sure baseball will be watching very closely and carefully as far as what goes on this weekend. I want to ask you about this latest report coming out of CBS Sports that says now Texas is involved in the mix, in addition to what we've heard previously about Arizona and Florida having their spring training facilities and Major League ballparks involved in some type of season here before the year is out. What's your reaction now to adding Texas?
Yeah, it's the concept du jour, right? It seems like every day there's something different going on. And I think the one thing that's been clear, talking to players, talking to managers, the concern about bringing 30 teams into one location is pretty significant. Players are looking at it saying, yeah, how are you going to house 30 players and keep us quarantined for 4 to 5 months? That's a non-starter for a lot of the stars of the game. They don't want to leave their families, not be around them. I think if you spread them out in different locations, allow more housing where family can maybe come in and they can sort of all be together, I think you've got a better chance of selling the concept to players. We know this, no matter what the ultimate result is, it's going to be creative, it's going to be different, and I think that there's a better shot of a 3-location option than a 1-location option.
Okay, we'll see how that plays out. Also want to ask you about this. The Cubs and the White Sox are among the teams they have already assured their employees that they will be paid through the month of May, regardless of if there is baseball or not. The Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, 3 teams in 2 of the biggest markets, they have said nothing. Why?
Well, they don't have to yet, right? So they've already covered them through the end of May. And I think they're sort of looking at it and wondering what is the next step to do. Everybody has to make their own decisions. They don't have to be bound to everybody else, but it certainly does put pressure on teams. You've got small market teams, middle market teams who have already committed to pay their employees through the end of May. The Padres have committed paying their employees for the entire season. Now, they may take some pay cuts, but they've made a commitment that they're locking in that nobody's going to get let go or furloughed out of their offices. And so I think a bold move by them. I think it's timing more than anything else. And look, if there is any element of doubt, I have to believe the peer pressure will be pretty significant for fan bases and from the other teams that the large market teams follow and at least go to May 31st, like the majority of other teams are doing.
And we'll have to find out if A-Rod and J-Lo end up buying the Mets, if they will extend those assurances to the employees there for the Amazons. But we'll have to pick that up the next time we speak with our MLB insider, Steve Phillips. Thank you, Steve. Coming up, what has Robbie Gould done at Wrigley Field even more than some major leaguers? The former Bears kicker explains. That's next on The Stadium.
Test your Cubs knowledge alongside the experts.
Hi, it's Chris Myers. Coming up this week on Play at Home Trivia, presented by Miller Lite. We have two former Cubs, and Dan Plesac and Carlos Pena. How many Platinum Glove winners have won a Cubs uniform?
I guess, and I connected.
If you're going to try to get 9 innings out of me, you've called the wrong guy.
Stay safe at home and play safe at home with Chris Myers, presented by Miller Lite, Wednesday at 7.
When you live in Chicago, you proudly call this home. Your bank should too. We're Wintrust, built here for here. And we've taken our place as Chicago's bank because no other bank can say the same.
Doug.
Give me your hand! I can save you! Lots of money with Liberty Mutual! We customize your car insurance so you only pay for what you need!
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
As we work to get through these times together, you may not be thinking about blood donation, but blood is needed to save the lives of people who are sick with a range of illnesses. It's easy and safe to give. If you are in good health, please donate. We need heroes now. Visit redcrossblood.org to schedule an appointment.
Get to know where to place your next bet on Follow the Money on Marquee Sports Network. Vegas veterans Mitch Ross and Paulie Howard host this hour-long show, share their knowledge of sports and gambling.
The Cubs always take money, so it doesn't matter. Everyone would come to town and bet the Cubs win the World Series, no matter who was on the team.
Get the most up-to-date information in live odds, predictions, and betting trends from the sports gambling capital of the world. Follow the Money, live weekday mornings at 6 on Marquee Sports Network.
Our next guest is a familiar face to many sports fans in Chicago, and at times, like in the 2018 playoffs, for example, not only was his face sorely missed, his right leg as well. But let's talk about some happy times. Former Bears and current 49ers kicker and a good friend here to all of us here at the stadium, Robbie Gould joins us on the show. How are you, Robbie?
Everything's great. Thanks for having me on the show. It's always great to see familiar faces. Everything's going well, and we're just getting through the times of the stay-at-home quarantine.
The last time we actually spoke, since then, you went to a Super Bowl, your second of your career. What stood out as far as your most memorable or favorite experience? I know the final score didn't turn out the way you wanted, but anything else from that week that stood out?
I think it was an awesome week just because I could have my family there. I have 3 kids, my wife. They weren't with me the first time I went to the Super Bowl. So to have them, we had 18 people go to the game, which is kind of unique for us. But just to be able to share the moment, I spent Sunday morning with my kids playing football in the hotel room, doing schoolwork or playing on the iPad, just something to keep me kind of calm. And it was actually the most calm I've ever been for a game. And I think it has a lot to do with the setting that I put myself in on Sunday morning.
You've also already begun your off-season workouts, and I noticed on Instagram, I believe, where you've installed a home gym. How's that treating you?
Yeah, so we had a room that we were set up with dumbbells and a little bit of cardio equipment. And then once we heard that we were going to go into stay-at-home quarantine, I was like, I need to get a little bit more so I could do some virtual training. So I went out and got a squat rack. I went out and got a free motion machine. And then I used my backyard to kick in with my boys as my uprights. So it's kind of unique to have a family kicking session. They're used to like kicking with me and not being the field goal post, but workouts have been going as normal and as usual, but I think it's just a different time that everyone has to be creative. And, I'm very thankful for those that are battling this on the front line, the politicians and your local governments that are handling situations to keep everybody safe and working towards obviously reopening the country. And for us, I think it's athletes, we have a great opportunity to show people that we can do everything that we need to do from our houses. And share that experience with them to know that we're almost through this.
Yeah, and ordinarily you'd be back out in the Bay Area, right, getting ready for the next season with various workouts and training at the facility. Instead, like you mentioned, you're at home with your boys. How's that going with this extra time, this bonus time that you're getting with them?
You know, it's awesome. My wife was telling me, I think yesterday, she's like, in 2 days you would be leaving to go for off-season workouts. And I would travel back every Thursday and Sunday between Chicago and San Francisco. So, I'm home more often now with my kids, and I'm doing the virtual schooling with them. I'm working out with them. I'm at the house doing activities that I wouldn't necessarily have the ability to do during this time. So, there's a silver lining to every situation. And I think for me, my silver lining is that I get a chance to be at home with my kids and make up for some of that lost time I've had the last 3 of 4 seasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't believe it's already been 3 seasons that you've been out there in San Francisco. Of course, we've been hearing a lot about players, and now a few more notable names testing positive for COVID-19. What concerns do you have, and how you think that also might impact whether or not the NFL season gets off on schedule?
Well, I'm not really worried about what the schedule looks like. I'm not worried about how or when that's going to happen. I think as athletes, there's a training regimen that you always look at is, hey, in April, I need to be in this kind of shape. In May, I need to look like this. By July, I need to look like I got to kick this way. I got to be in this kind of physical shape. And I think I'm just taking this as day to day, because truthfully, you can't really look too far down the road because nobody really knows what it's going to look like. And we're going to have some answers now that I think it may either get pushed to stay-at-home quarantine, or it'll give some ideas that every governor is going to have to come up with some ideas on how we're going to re-enter stadiums, or what's the facilities going to look like. And I know that teams are gearing up for the NFL draft right now, and then they'll start looking at the proposals on how we're going to come back into the facilities with the guys. And, athletes, we're not immune to what's going on in the community, right? So guys are going to get it. It's going to happen. And, we just have to make sure that we do the best we can to stay in the best situations to help everybody in the country go through what we're going through right now.
Yeah, there's some thinking that when baseball does come back, that they'll have to do so without fans in the stands. Same for football. How might that impact the game? And certainly from your eyes, especially as a kicker, not hearing the crowd cheering or booing, however the case may be.
Well, I don't think it'll be really all too different. It'll be like practice or scrimmages that we have when you go against other teams in preseason. I think, the biggest change is going to be the salary cap. And what if there's no ticket sales, if there's sponsorships are different, if, obviously TV continues, or how many games that's going to look like is going to affect the 2021 cap and moving forward. So I'm sure they're going to start looking at ideas to facilitate what that might look like once it gets back online. But I think everybody right now is just living in the moment, and they're trying to think of scenarios that could happen. And these are decisions that are being made very swiftly, right? And they're going to be made by medical officials. They're going to be made by science. They're going to be made by decisions that aren't going to be just go back and play. And I think I know the NFL, I know the organization will put us in the best possible place to be healthy and safe. And that's always been the forefront of the NFL.
All right, so we know through social media that you've been practicing at home with your kids, and we've been talking about that and working out and kicking the football and probably working on your golf swing as well. At the same time, I see all those guitars there behind you. What's the significance of those?
Those are collector items. I'm in my office right now. I have a piano. My kids are learning how to play the piano, and those are all autographed guitars from Brad Paisley to
Nice.
Kelly Pickler. I mean, you name it. There's a few back there. There's a Phil Mickelson autographed Masters guitar that my parents got me for Christmas one year. So it's just collector items, and it's something that I've enjoyed being able to show my kids. And, hey, you want to play sports? Great. If you want to be a musician, great. If you want to be a doctor, great. I really don't care what you want to do as long as you're respectful and that you put your whole heart into it.
What is more nerve-wracking to you? Is it lining up a 5-foot putt, maybe to win a hole or an event with the team, for example? Or is it a game-winning field goal, or throwing out the first pitch at Wrigley singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game"? Which is more nerve-wracking to you?
Singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" is by far the most nerve-wracking thing I ever have to do. I'm a terrible singer, so for me, it's just something that's outside my comfort zone. But it's been fun because I think I've thrown out the first pitch 11 times, and the Cubs have been awesome to myself and my family. I married into a Cubs family. Her dad was a season ticket holder for 30 some years, and my kids have had the ability to go sing the 7th inning stretch with me. They've done the balls and strikes and the level above, and we've been Cubs fans through and through. And I think, as you get used to it, that feeling never goes away. That's for sure. And it's such a cool place and great organization that it's just exciting to be a part of it and be able to share those memories with my kids.
Yeah, and maybe this goes into what I'm going to ask you here. And you talked about how you've been away for 3 years now playing for the 49ers. You could choose to go there in the offseason. It's a lot warmer in the Bay Area than compared to Chicago, but every offseason you come back. So why Chicago over San Fran?
I think it's just a place that I've played here for so long. I love the city of Chicago. I haven't been able to find a place where it gives you everything that this city has to offer. I think the fan base is incredible here, just like it is in San Francisco. But my wife's from here. I played here for an extremely long time, and I know that my roots will be here when my playing career is over. And for me, coming back here in the snow it's definitely not warm. But at the end of the day, I think it's just a place where your kids are familiar with. We want to raise them in Chicago, and we knew before I got cut in Chicago that this was going to be home, and we started to set up our roots here, and that's why we're here.
All right. Well, yes, the Bears cut you, and of course there was a lot of reaction from Bears fans all over the country, not just in Chicago. But you also posted on Twitter that, yes, I will retire someday as a Bear. Can you tell us a little bit about what was behind that tweet in terms of any reaction that you may have received from your current teammates, your former teammates, anything about the future?
No one that really reached out to me to ask me about that. I just think when my playing career is over, I will go back and retire as a Chicago Bear. I'm the all-time leading scorer. This is home. This is where I'm setting up roots, and there's not going to be a place professionally that I'm going to go and play. And I've enjoyed San Francisco. I love the fans. I love the organization. I think they're doing some amazing things that are outside the box in the community, and also to help us have a team that could make a run. I just think when I look at my career, I'll always be remembered as a Chicago Bear. And I think as much as New York Giants, which I love too, is going to be a stop for me, I just see myself coming back and retiring as a Chicago Bear. But I've enjoyed playing for both New York and San Francisco. It's just Chicago's home for me.
Hey, Robbie, great catching up with you. Please stay safe. And, we look forward to seeing you back with the San Francisco 49ers this fall.
Well, thanks for having me. It was great seeing you again.
When we come back, we remember a special day during a magnificent streak within an extraordinary season. That's next on The Stadium.
Tell us we can't, and we'll prove you wrong. Knock us down, and we'll get right back up. Call us risk takers, misfits, bad boys. But we know what we want, and it feels like American muscle, looks like advanced engineering, and smells like fresh, cut grass. Bad boy, mow with an attitude.
Home is more important than ever. At Overstock, we're committed to delivering on all your home needs. Starting now, everything ships for free. Big or small, Overstock, where quality costs less and everything ships free.
These are uncertain times, but we at First Midwest Bank remain strong, remain committed to our clients, to our communities. And we want those who are uncertain in these uncertain times to know that even though we currently all need to stay apart, we are all in this together. First Midwest Bank.
Hey Chicago, it's Joe Madden for Catholic Charities. Amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, Catholic Charities of Chicago continues to serve the poor, the elderly, and those with no one to turn to. Our community needs will only grow in the coming months, but so will the resolve and generosity of countless individuals across our region. With your help, Catholic Charities will be there with food, financial assistance, and other supports. Please visit CatholicCharities.net today and donate what you can. That's CatholicCharities.net. I donate it, and so can you.
Perfection in some cases, excellence overall is the theme for April 21st in Chicago sports history. On this day in 2012, Philip Humber's first Major League complete game is baseball's 21st perfect game as the Southsiders beat Seattle 4-0. Humber joins Charles Robertson in 1932 and Mark Burley in 2009 on the list of White Sox pitchers to achieve perfection on the mound. Then, exactly 4 years later,
here comes the 2-2. In the air, this should do it. Jason Hayward makes a catch. It's a no-hitter. Jake Arrieta has done it again.
On April 21st, 2016, Jake Arrieta throws the second no-hitter of his career in a 16-0 rout of the Reds. The Cubs ace becomes the second pitcher in Major League history to go unbeaten between no-hit games. He sandwiched no-hitters around 11 starts without a loss. The only other pitcher to do it, Johnny Vandermeer, who went back-to-back with no-nos in 1938. All right, let's get a check on the simulated Cubs back home to face San Diego after getting swept by the reigning champion Nationals. 1-1, bottom of the eighth, a runner on for Chris Bryant, and he takes one into the left field corner, and Jason Kipnis comes all the way around from first base, beats the tag with that head-first slide, and it's a two-out RBI for Chris Bryant. Next up, Anthony Rizzo. He crushes this 0-1 pitch to straightaway center, 420 feet away, a two-run blast to give the Cubs a 4-1 lead, and that's how this one ends as the Sim Cubs snap a 4-game losing streak and get back to their winning ways. Marquee Sports Network and MLB The Show 20 are bringing the virtual America's pastime to you in our time of need. Join the watch party over on Facebook every game day at 1 p.m. And don't forget, you can always catch the stadium at 6:30 p.m. Monday through Fridays right here on Marquee Sports Network. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow.
There's never been a better time to have a favorite food. With new Grubhub Plus, you get unlimited free delivery and cashback rewards for ordering noodles. And noodles. And noodles. And noodles. Grubhub Plus, free delivery, cashback, and noodles.
I'm Greg. I'm 68 years old. I do motivational speaking in addition to the substitute teaching. I honestly feel that that's my calling, to give back to younger people. I think most adults will start realizing that they don't recall things as quickly as they used to, or they don't remember things as vividly as they once did. I've been taking Prevagen for about 3 years now. People say to me periodically, man, you got a memory like an elephant. It's really, really helped me tremendously.
Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Unexpectedly, she had to do open heart surgery. It was definitely a tense time. It was good to just come here and feel a little normal and to get a nice hot meal and like a nice warm bed.
Helps you bring strength to your family.
No matter what's ahead, I know that Ronald McDonald House will be there for us. They're like family, so they'll take care of us.
Marquee Sports Network counts down the top 35 announcer calls of all time.
Long drive, way back, it might be, it could be, and it is.
Jason Hayward makes a catch. It's a no-hitter. Here comes the hook. Got him! 20 strikeouts. The Cubs win the World Series.
The Cubs Countdown, tonight at 11 on Marquee Sports Network.